My next guest is going to wow you because everyone who's met her has been completely wowed. Kristin Rowell.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Wow, so we are at KetoCon Day 3. Who, like me, feels super excited about all the information they're learning this weekend? Yes? Who also, like me, feels a little overwhelmed about all the information they're learning, right? It's a lot. I mean, it's awesome, but it's a lot. And so what I want to do with my presentation today is I want to give you a little bit of the how. How do we transition when we leave here and we try to incorporate all of this awesome stuff that we're learning into our lives? My name is Kristin Rowell, and I'm the owner of Energetically Efficient. I'm really excited to be here with you today, and I'm very grateful to Brian, to Robin, and the whole Ketovangelist crew. Actually, I don't know what I'm more excited about. The fact that I am on stage getting to connect with all of you in this forum, or the fact that I get to follow my good friend Danny Vega. When Danny and Brian had me on their podcast last summer, we laughed and said, I'm basically the female version of Danny. So hopefully I can live up to his presentation and give you some really good tips and tricks. He and I did not coordinate our presentations, by the way, but there are several things that he shared with you that I'm going to emphasize and hopefully take to the next level so that you can leave here and actually figure out how to create a plan for yourself that will allow you to incorporate things into your daily life. So I haven't shared my story on stage at KetoCon before, so I'm going to do that in just a moment. But before we do that, I want to get everyone to stand up. If you wouldn't mind, I know it's annoying, forgive me. And we're going to do 3 grounding breaths together. And here's the reason I do this. I spend the majority of my time in my sympathetic nervous system. Is anyone else like that? Do you know about that? It means that we're in fight or flight mode. So we're going all the time, and we rarely take time to slow down and just breathe. So this is going to be as much for me as it is for you, but the reason that I want to do these grounding breaths is it gets you in your parasympathetic nervous system, which means that you're able to digest information, and food, by the way, better. Okay, so everyone stand with your feet about hips width distance apart. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. I'm also going to close my eyes. Everyone's going to have their eyes closed, so don't worry about looking weird. And then I'm going to count out 3 inhales and exhales, okay? Start with your first breath. Everyone inhale. Hold at the top for a second. Exhale. Next breath. Everyone inhale. Hold at the top for a second. Exhale. Final breath. Everyone inhale. Hold. Exhale. Thank you. Who feels a little more relaxed already? That always does it for me. You guys can do that anytime that you want. So let me tell you a little bit about me. First, here's what I'm going to do with you today, and then I'll tell you my story. I'm going to give you a 3-step path to success that I use in my life, whether it's in my work, whether it's in my working out, whether it's in my meal planning. Basically, it's my method to achieve success. I hear from a lot of people, Kristin, how do you do that? How do you achieve these goals? How do you reach these goals? I don't think I'm more special than any single human in this room, and I mean that. The only thing that I may do differently than people that don't achieve their goals is I've actually created this method that I make myself stick to. So that's what I want to give you today. I've used this method to achieve better health and wellness, to achieve my goals at work, and even to increase my overall health and longevity. So here's me. Up until 3 weeks ago, for the past 17 years, I was a trial lawyer. And before you all get up and walk out, because you think, what is she here to teach me? I will tell you that the reason that's important is because as a trial lawyer, I had to get extremely efficient about my time. And I mean efficient in the sense of I build my time in 6-minute increments every single day for 17 years. So what that means is my workouts are efficient. The way I eat is efficient. Everything that I do is about how can I get more results in less time? How can I have more free time because I feel like I never have enough? How can I get the maximum impact from my diet and from my workouts in less time? And I'm guessing there might be a few of you, raise your hand if you would also like that same kind of lifestyle. All of us want to do more with less, right? So I also have a lot of energy, and I believe that my lifestyle choices in terms of how I use the ketogenic diet for a tool for my health and wellness, and also what I do with my workouts are what make me have this energy. I was at the top of my game as a trial lawyer when I decided to leave just 3 weeks ago. And I'm leaving my practice to start a speaking, consulting, and coaching business because this has been a spiritual calling for me. I really actually enjoy, unlike most people, being on stage and talking to people. I think it's one of the ways that we can connect as humans, and I just love the opportunity. So thank you for having me. I found out it's going to be released this week that I was a top 50 female attorney in Minnesota for 2019, and I'm still leaving my practice. Thank you so much. Why does that matter? Well, here's why it matters. My point is, because of the way I choose to use the ketogenic diet in my life and because of how I work out, it's allowed me actually to become more successful. I started meditating 2 years ago, and I can't speak enough about the power of meditation. All of these things that I'm sharing with you are what have allowed me to become more successful. So during my time as a trial lawyer, I also ran 24 marathons, and I'm just going to show you a few pictures of me in my running career because people seem to like photos. The most important photo is the middle one because I want to tell you what my tank top says. I'm handing off a baton in the Ragnar relay in 2015, and I wore a tank top that says, "You are my rock, my Dwayne, my Johnson." I love The Rock. So if anyone in this room knows him, I have DM'd him on Instagram. Like, I'm so embarrassing. He has never responded, but I actually love him. So 24 marathons, and then in the last couple of years, I got into this thing about bodybuilding, and I'll explain why. But these are just a few photos of me as a bodybuilder. The first one is me amateur at my sister's house trying to practice this posing, obviously without a spray tan. I did a professional photo shoot the night before my first competition, and then that last one is of me at my second competition where I won a few things. So I also, before you think I can't relate to her, she does these marathons, she does bodybuilding, I mean it again when I say I am no better or different than any human in this room. We are all the same as each other. We all have life struggles that we go through. So I want to tell you about some of mine. In 2007, I collapsed on my bathroom floor. I was rushed to the emergency room, and I had what doctors called PSVT, which is proximal supraventricular tachycardia. My heart rate was at 215 to 225 for over 10 minutes, and what happens is it's an overstimulation of the vagal nerve in your neck, and then it crashes because it's working too hard. I was go, 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 go all the time. This was a signal to my body, you need to slow down, and I ignored it. I was divorced in May of 2012, also not an awesome thing to go through. And then a year and a half later, I fell on ice in Williston, North Dakota, and I broke my right leg in 10 places. I'm going to tell you that story because that's actually how I found the ketogenic diet. And then also, even though all of these first few things that I've mentioned were probably signs from the universe that I should start paying attention to my body, I should start getting more in that sympathetic system so that I can actually learn about the signals that my body is sending me, right? You realize that we're all getting these signals from our body all the time? Well, in 2015, I had already been divorced for 3 years. My ex-husband and I did not have children. And I said, you know what? What if I want to have kids someday? Now I'm 39 years old. So I was going to go through a procedure to freeze my eggs. And I was so adrenally depleted that I wasn't able to go through the procedure. Because again, I was go, go, go. The good news on that is I waited a year, I went through it, and I actually had a successful procedure. So thank you. I can wake up someday and decide I want to have children, apparently. Here's me, all dejected, laying in the hospital bed after I fell in Williston, North Dakota. Now, I know you're all jealous because that's a super sexy place to travel, obviously way better than Austin. But a large part of my trial practice was as a real estate lawyer, and this was at the height of the oil boom. So I had been going there to do I had a number of clients in North Dakota. I was licensed to practice law in North Dakota and in Minnesota. So this was on December 6th of 2013. It was 20 below zero outside. And I'll just tell you how this happened because people are like, how did you do this? I was in front of the airport following my partner into the airport to fly back to Minneapolis. And as I was walking into the airport, I realized I forgot my phone in my client's car. So I turned around, ran back to the car, and as I was about to grab the back door handle of her Suburban, where I had been sitting, she started to pull away. Now, as you can imagine, with a Suburban, you've got tinted windows in the back, so I couldn't see whether she could see me. I just assumed because she hadn't left yet, she saw me coming back to the car. I grabbed the door handle, my foot's this way. I still think the back tire went over my toe, but the point is I fell and I broke my tibia and fibula in 10 places. So I stayed overnight in Mercy Hospital in Williston, North Dakota. I flew back to Minneapolis, and I had surgery a week later. I got 22 pieces of metal put in my leg. The doctors told me, you will not be able to weight bear on your right leg for 3 months, Kristin. Forget all of your exercising, forget it. And that was really, really scary for me. I have exercised since I started lifting weights when I was about 14 years old. And so for me, hearing that I wasn't going to be able to put weight on my right leg was pretty terrifying. I was afraid of, oh my gosh, what if I don't have an adrenaline release all the time? I don't have my serotonin running through my body. So I thought to myself, I'm going to create a plan, and I'm going to do my best to recover as quickly as I could. So what did I do? I said, you know what? The only thing that's broken is my right leg. This leg wasn't broken. My arms weren't broken. My abs, my back. So I got back in the gym a week and a half after surgery, and I hobbled around in the gym on crutches, and I lifted for my left leg. I continued to exercise for the rest of my body because this was the only part of me that was broken. And as a result of doing that, you can see here, by February 13th of 2014, I was cleared for weight bearing. That was 30 days earlier than they told me I'd be able to put weight on it. So in that process is how I found the ketogenic diet. My point in sharing this whole lengthy story with you, and I'll move on from it now, is that what all of us can do is to start where we are, use what we have, and do what we can. This is an Arthur Ashe quote that I love. Where you are right now is perfect. You're not supposed to be the you a year from now. You're not behind the curve. Where you are right now is perfect, and I believe that you're here listening to this talk today because there are nuggets of information that you are going to learn to take with you, and you're supposed to be here, and we're supposed to be connecting. So what happened next? Well, I ran the Ragnar Relay 8 months after getting all the metal taken out of my leg. We did really well. There were 421 teams. We finished 10th. Most importantly for me, my leg held up the entire race, and that was really fun for me. I kept saying, I'm going to run my comeback marathon, and it's going to be my best yet. So just 2 months after that, in October, this was my 20th marathon. I ran a 3:19 at the age of 39 years old, and that was my fastest race. And the only thing I ate before I ran that race was 1 packet of coconut butter. Contrast that to all of the other races where I had been pasta, carbo loading, etc. So how did I do this? This is this 3-step path, and if you want to get out your phones or your pencil and paper, I want you to remember these 3 steps because here is how I achieve goals that I set for myself. It's first, we create an intention. Second, we create a plan. And third, we execute on it. And I'm going to go into each of these because the way that I learn and the way that I feel like is most impactful in my life is for me to actually take some exercises through it. So I want you to all think right now about an intention that you're going to set for yourself when you leave here. I want you to just think about an intention. I guess I just share that skipping any one of the steps prevents you from reaching your goal. So what is your goal when you leave here? Do you want to try the carnivore diet? Do you want to do intermittent fasting? Do you feel like you want to lose body fat? Think about something that's an intention for you, and I want you actually to just pick one intention and write it down. And then I want you to also ask yourself, what is your why? My why is often me. We hear a lot about having to choose your why, and I hear people ask me, I've had clients say, Kristin, I don't know how to pick my why. I don't know how to get motivated. You have the most important and valuable asset looking at you in the mirror every single day. It's you. And so if you want to make yourself your why, that's what I do. So let's talk about intention, because if you wrote down an intention, or if you're thinking of an intention that you can take when you leave here, I just want to go through examples so that you can set yourself up for success so you actually can achieve the goal that you're setting out to do. So let's talk about an intention that I think is not a great intention, and I hear this one a lot, and people tend to fall, what I'll call off the wagon with this one. How many people have said, I will lose weight? I want to lose weight. That's an intention, okay? So does anyone know, is there anyone who might share what's wrong with that intention? Yes, not measurable, someone said. So it's not measurable, it's not specific enough. I suggest something like this. In the next 30 days, I will reduce my body fat. That gives us a time frame. That gives us something more specific than weight. And I'm going to go through an example that's going to show you why in a second. Here's another one I like. I will run the 4th of July 5K in under 25 minutes. That actually picks even a particular date on which you will accomplish your goal. It's even more specific. So consider, as you look back at the intention that you set for yourself, or as you think about intention, when you leave here, consider making it specific enough so that it's something you can actually achieve. So what's wrong with this next one? I will fix my marriage. And I promise you, this is not like the bitter divorcee standing here saying marriages can't be fixed, because I do believe they can. The problem with this intention is that it requires the participation of someone else. This is not something you can do on your own. I'm living proof of that. So how about this? I will spend the next 6 months working on myself. Again, it gives a time frame. I'm going to do this within a certain time. Or I will give my best presentation yet. These are specific, they are actionable, and they are attainable. So I encourage you to strongly consider, as you're creating your intention for any self-experimentation that you want to do when you leave KetoCon, to set something that's actually achievable because it's specific, actionable, and attainable. This is, and I know that this is what people are interested in. Can you see that section there where I've highlighted? Can you guys see that or see the dates? I want to help you understand what this is. This is basically a snapshot of a bunch of bod pod testing that I've done over time, okay? So if you haven't ever taken a bod pod, I strongly encourage it, you guys, and I'm going to explain why in a second, but I really like DEXA scans, bod pods, and in-body tests as opposed to scales. I hate scales. I don't think I could even tell you the last time I was on a scale. They actually have to put me on a scale every time I do the bod pod, and I tell them, don't tell me what it says. Now, it spits out my weight when I look at it, but I don't like the scale. So it just doesn't tell us exactly what's going on. So before my first bodybuilding competition, I went into the bod pod on January 13th of 2017, and I had 20.1% body fat. That was actually the highest body fat I had ever registered on a bod pod. And I have been testing in a bod pod for 10 years regularly. This is just a snapshot of some of my tests. So this is your body fat percentage. This, which says fat-free weight at the top, is actually the pounds of your body that are your musculature. So this is how much muscle you have in pounds. And then this is your total weight. So when you take the percentage of weight plus the muscle, then you get your total weight. So here's what I want to show you guys. This is why this is so important. People say you can't lose fat and gain muscle. That's complete BS. I do it all the time, and I'm going to tell you how I do it. So I was at 20.1, and I said, wow, I want to do this bodybuilding competition. I want to get a lower body fat percentage. So I created a plan for myself. My intention was to have the lowest body fat I had ever had by April 6th of 2017, which was the night before my first bodybuilding show. So I created a plan, but I set that intention. Thankfully, I was measuring in a bod pod as opposed to a scale, because look at my weight. In that period of time, I was able to gain, my weight in muscle went from 105 to 112. I gained 7 pounds of muscle. And I lost 5% of body fat. But look at my weight, 131.7, and my ending weight was 131.3. Had I been just stepping on a scale, I would have been so frustrated because I was adhering to a really clean eating plan. I was doing a high protein, higher fat diet, and I was carb cycling once a week. Okay? This other highlighting that I have here, just to point this out, I had worked with Robert because I thought this was not a total ketogenic protocol, and this was more so, and I got down to my lowest body fat percentage ever for my second show, and that was when I became a professional bodybuilder, was at that show. And so I did that by use of the ketogenic diet. But you can see, you can decrease your body fat and increase your lean muscle tissue at the same time. My weight always hovered around the same. It's just a matter of what it is. So let's talk about the plan, because I want to give you some examples of things so that you can say, how do I actually do this? One thing, I get a lot of questions about how I'm so muscular. And let me tell you one thing before I get into this plan. Here's the biggest mistake that I see people making in the gym. It's that they don't exercise, or they don't strength train, more importantly, intensely enough. Every time I strength train, I go to failure. Every time I lift a weight, I do that set. So let's say I'm in a bicep curl. I'm in a bicep curl and I'm doing it to the point that I literally am shaking and I can't lift the weight any higher. That is the way that we build our muscles bigger, you guys. It's going as heavy as you can and as hard as you can. Here's the other awesome news about lifting that way. It's efficient. No one believes me when I say this, but I lift twice a week for 30 minutes. That's how much I lift. And I've been doing that twice a week since 2007. Now, I have lifted a long time, but I used to go to the gym and I would do upper body on Monday and lower body on Tuesday and upper body, and it was hours. And what I realized after I started this protocol of lifting really intensely so that I'm connecting my mind to my muscle, and I'm setting an intention every time I'm in the gym. My goal is to make my muscles bigger. And I'm really focused on that intention. My goal is to make my muscles bigger, and I'm connecting my brain to my bicep, to my quad when I'm doing a leg extension. I saw a Jason Whitrock YouTube video one time where he said, I picture, and I do this now, so I'm in the leg extension machine, I'll just do this as an example, and I'm lifting that weight, and I'm with my brain picturing my quads ripping. I know it sounds kind of morbid, but that brain-body connection, you guys, it's so important. And so I go really intense and really heavy every time. So let me talk more specifically about plan, because I think plan is important. Here's one of the biggest mistakes people make is they don't measure their starting point. I'm in the middle of a body composition challenge at one of my gyms right now, and one of my girlfriends is doing this with me, and she calls me the night before, and she's like, ugh, I don't want to step in that bod pod, I hate it. And I said, okay, that's awesome, so you're not going to actually know whether or not this experiment was successful because you don't want to do it. So I eventually talked her into doing it. I really encourage people to make an appointment for one of these, either a bod pod, a DEXA scan, or an in-body test. You can Google your city and one of those words and find where one is in your area. Typically, colleges and universities have them. A lot of gyms have them now. But I really recommend that you do that. It helps us get out of denial. The number of people that tell me that they don't know what their body fat is or they don't know when they're starting, if you want to get leaner, stronger, fitter, and faster on keto, you really have to know where you're starting. You just do. The way we plan appropriately then is we identify our ending point. A lot of the reasons diets fail, you guys, is because people say, I'm starting my diet on a Monday, or I'm going to lose weight, and then they think they've got to stick to that forever. The way that I've achieved success in terms of all of these additional upgrades that I call it, making in my life, is that I do all of these different 30-day or 6-week experiments. And every time I do one, I learn something new. You heard Danny talk about it in his presentation. We're in the art of experimentation. I know a lot of you in this room have already done a lot of experiments on yourself or are really excited to do that when you leave here today. We do research. We hire a coach or we sign up for a program. When I did my first bodybuilding competition, I hired a coach. When I started my business 3 weeks ago, I hired 2 coaches. I hire coaches all the time, even though I am one. And I do that because I want help creating a plan, and I want someone who's objective, who's had success in their particular domain, help me achieve success in something I haven't done before. There are a ton of coaches here. There are a wealth of resources through KetoCon that you can take advantage of. The other thing that we do when we plan appropriately is we map out the points in between. This is why I'm so obsessed with this process and this method. So let me tell you what my 6-week meal plan was, just in terms of the outline. I'm not going to go through all of the food, but I will tell you, I'm going to share with you later. You can text a number, and I will send you a PDF download for free to give you a test 6-week meal plan that you guys can incorporate for yourselves. So what it's going to do is it's going to give you something similar to what I did, which is you're going to eat the same meals every day for 6 days. And what I've written there is it's going to be low carb, high protein, and high fat. And the reason I say high protein, you guys, is for me, I've done keto a variety of ways. I have really tried to reduce my protein, and it doesn't work. I think people that are more muscular, this is just me, Danny and I are living proof, we tout the benefits of protein. Every time I try to decrease my protein, I am hungrier, I am angrier, and I find myself having cravings because my body wants more food, and what it really wants is protein. So I do a higher protein diet. I weigh, like you saw in the Bod Pod results, I weigh around 130 pounds. I try to eat that many grams in protein every day. So because I lift heavy, I eat at least 130 grams in protein every day, and I can stay in ketosis and do that. And it's because my body's using that protein to build my muscles because I'm actually working them so hard. On the 7th day, I did 1 day of reverse macros, where I do high carb, still high protein, and lower fat. It was in one of the presentations this weekend, and forgive me, it was in the first day, and I just can't remember whose it was, but they were talking about the fact that one of the things we never want to do is do the high carb and the high fat together, and that's a really important thing for everyone to remember. So if you do a carb up, which I did once a week, and then I was able to get back into ketosis by the end of the day the next day, then I would make sure I had lower fat on that day. And then my 6-week meal plan also had some of the same principles that you heard Danny talk about. No dairy, no alcohol, no sugars, no sweeteners, and no processed food of any kind, no bars. You guys, I think when we cut this stuff out, we can create a metabolic reset that really allows our body to function more optimally, okay? Do I sometimes have alcohol? Yes. Do I sometimes have dairy? Yes. Do I sometimes have sweet? Yes. But this is why this art of self-experimentation is so important. I'm not committing to something ever for the rest of my life. Who can do that? Not me. So I do these experiments so that I can figure out, wow, it's amazing when I don't have dairy, how much better I feel. I had no idea until I cut dairy out that it actually was affecting me negatively. Same is true for alcohol, sugar, sweeteners. So I love this stuff, but I just try to do these experiments where I don't have it at all. So finally, let me just talk about execute, because I do want to leave a few minutes for questions if I can. This quote I love, and it says, "Only the dreamer can envision and execute their dream. No one else can do it for them." This is so true. When I got ready for that bodybuilding show, when I go into the gym and I focus on how heavy I want to lift, I am the only person who can do it. I have a trainer barking at me, telling me, Kristin, you can get 2 more. I know you can do 2 more reps. But I'm the only one who actually can do it, right? So execution is where we take responsibility for the intention that we set for ourselves and the plan that we got help to create. Execution is where your responsibility comes in, people. And here are some of the things I see when people fail to execute. They abandon their plan. Here they hire a coach and they're all excited and they have this intention. And then for whatever reason, they let their plan go out the window. And why? It's because we forget why we started this journey. We let fear get in the way. We get in our head. We talk ourselves out of it. Who can relate to these things? I know I've done this in the past. Every time that stuff starts happening, I know, well, there goes that intention. So how do we stop ourselves from doing this? That's the real question, right? How do we stop ourselves from self-sabotage? I submit it's these things. This is what helps me. We review our why each day. It's not enough to set a why at the beginning, people. 6 weeks of a diet plan is a long time. So I've got to look at my why each day. Sometimes what I do is I create a little image and I have it as my screenshot on my phone. You know how many times we pick up our phone during the day? Have your why be right there staring at you all those times. We also tell others about our plan. I love nothing more than sharing with people. I just signed up for a bodybuilding competition, you guys. I'm gonna run a marathon. I've got a trial coming up next month, whatever it is. Then all of a sudden, when people see me, they ask me about it. And I think, oh crap, I actually have to stick to that plan that I told them about because I had this intention that I shared with other people. We also repeatedly review our plan. So like I told you, I had this 6-week meal plan, which you'll get when I give you this number to text. I knew it inside and out by probably day 3. I mean, I was eating the same stuff every day, which got a little old after 6 weeks, but I did it. So I knew it, but I would look at it anyways because it was this positive reinforcement loop that I wanted to create for myself to say, you're on this plan. You're attached to this plan and you can do it, Kristin, you can do it. I would journal about gratitude each night. I think the importance of journaling is so underestimated in our society. I was totally eye-rolling about journaling for years, like, oh yeah, okay, yep, I'll journal. And I started doing it, and I will tell you it's very, very powerful. Am I perfect? No. Do I do it every day? No. Do I try to do it every day? Yes. Do I set an intention that I'm going to get better about it? Yes. And then I also think there can't be enough of asking our friends, family, and colleagues for support. Ask your Instagram friends for support, people. People really get excited when you share that you've set an intention or a goal. I can't tell you how overwhelmed I have been with the stuff that I have shared on Instagram and people's feedback, giving me so much positive energy, helping make me believe that I actually can do it. One of my greatest spiritual teachers shared this with me. Energy is momentum. When you give it, you get more. So when you start your day in an energetic circumstance, whether it be at the gym, whether it be journaling about gratitude, whether it be sharing something with your family, going on Instagram and getting positive momentum and energy, that will fuel you for the course of your day. So what was the result of that experiment that I talked to you about with my body composition? This was me at my first bodybuilding competition. I had first place Masters Novice Figure, first place Masters Open Figure 35 plus, first place Masters Open Figure 40 plus, second place Novice Figure All Ages, and fourth place Open Figure B All Ages. What I kept joking about at the time was the reason I won all these trophies is because I'm novice and old. So that's why they gave me all of those. And I still actually think that's true. But most importantly, you guys, I achieved my goal. There is nothing greater to me in this life than setting an intention, planning for it, executing it on it every day so that you achieve your goal. It is one of the most rewarding things we can do for ourselves. And the fact that I was able to do this for myself has only allowed me to know that I'm capable of doing it again and again and again. We only have to do it once to know that we're capable of doing it again, right? Okay, I had to remind myself of this a lot during the course of my prep, during the course of when I get ready for marathons, during the course of when I'm getting ready for a trial. I mean, I'm working and committing myself to a goal for long hours oftentimes. And so what I'd remind myself is to don't give up what you want most for what you want now. We all have lots of distractions that present themselves to us every single day. I get invited to happy hours and birthday parties, and I do these things, I attend them, and I just set an intention for myself so that I stay on plan, so that I don't get derailed and say, okay, maybe I'll just have one glass of wine. No, that's gonna send the snowball rolling down the hill, because the wine, for me, turns into snacking on something I shouldn't eat, turns into coming home and having some kind of dessert. I can't do it. So I had to remind myself of this, and I often would set this as my screensaver, so that I would not give in to temptation. Just by way of summary, this 3-step process, which everyone in this room can adopt and everyone in this room can apply to their own lives with whatever their goal is first set your intention, then create your plan, and then execute on that plan every day. Now, if you would like this 6-week meal plan that I've created to share with everyone who's here, you just have to text the word energetic to 66866. And what'll happen is you'll get a message back that'll ask for your email. And so when you send your email, then you'll get this plan back in response. And I've created this. I use this all the time. What you'll see when you read it is it will give you a meal plan for 6 days of the week. And then it will give you a meal plan for the other day of the week. And then it has those rules in there about no sugar, no dairy, no alcohol, no sweeteners, no processed food. Now, you can take this plan and you can do it for 3 weeks, you can do it for 4 weeks. I really encourage 6 weeks, but if 3 weeks is all that you want to do it for at least 3 weeks. And before you do it, please get into a bod pod, InBody, or a DEXA scan. I really believe this, and I added this slide because I see this missing a lot in society. I was on a work trip in, again, North Dakota. I used to get to travel to really sexy places as a lawyer, so you can imagine I'm super excited to be traveling to places like this now. But I was down in the lobby area of the hotel early in the morning, and I had already worked out, and I was filling up my water bottle. So I'm using the bar water, because they had no filtered water in this dingy hotel in North Dakota. And one of the guys who worked there came up to me, and I said, is this okay that I'm using this water? And he said, yeah, that's okay. And then he sort of looked at what I was doing, and he said, oh, I remember when I used to be healthy. And I said, oh, well, I'm sort of a nerd. I really believe in hydration. I think it's so important. It helps me not overeat. And he said, yeah, I used to do that too. I used to drink a lot of water. He said, but then I got old. And I said, oh, okay. I said, how old are you? Because he didn't look that old to me. And he said, I'm 40. And I was like, okay, this man has given up on himself at 40. That's what I see too much of, you guys. So many people give up on themselves, and what I want to make sure, if you hear nothing else from me today, it's that you realize and accept that you deserve to invest in you. People come to KetoCon because you're already investing in yourself, and you deserve to create an intention and a plan on which you can execute. This is where you can find me. I will tell you, because this business that I've launched is so new, my website isn't even up and running yet, but on Instagram is where I'm at most frequently until my business is launched. My business is called Energetically Efficient. My Instagram handle is MNGoldenGirl, MN for Minnesota. It has been a privilege and an honor to have this stage in front of all of you today. Thank you for having me. I'd love to take questions if you have them. I appreciate it. Yes. So we have a couple minutes for questions. If anyone has any, I'd love to answer them. Please don't be shy.
Hi,
Hi, what's your name?
my name's Megan.
Hi.
I was just wondering, obviously I'm not that fit, but I'm curious since you are. I was just told by a doctor that when you keep your body fat really low as a woman, you can have hormonal issues, and so I was just curious if you could address that.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So this is something that I could do a whole nother talk on because I love this issue. I actually, for 6 months last year, I did not get my period at all. Okay. And I thought at the end of that 6 months, something's wrong. This is odd. Now, it actually didn't tie to me having low body fat. What it did tie to, and this was a signal that I needed to really figure out my lifestyle, is I had really high cortisol. I was super stressed out. And what I've learned, because I'm in school now to become a nutritional therapy practitioner, what I've learned is when we have high stress, it impacts our blood sugar. Did you guys know that high stress and high cortisol acts the same way on your body as if you've been eating Twinkies all day? Yeah, I didn't know that either, and it's awful. So I do think that low body fat can sometimes be an issue for hormones. For me, I found that it actually has more to do with my stress. So if I go another period of time where I am not regularly ovulating, then I say, okay, I need to eat some more and I need to increase my body fat. But with women's body fat percentages, you typically on average do about 10% more than men. So a woman at 16 is a man at 6 generally. So other than my stress level, I haven't experienced that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you for asking. Good morning.
Morning. I am 4 weeks out from my first competition.
Amazing, congratulations.
Oh, I'm closer. I just want to see if you have any good tips for me for post-show. I keep hearing nightmares of people like losing it mentally or like getting off the wagon or feeling like weird dysmorphia afterwards after you finish your show, or if you if you experience that at all, or you just kind of just kept trucking along.
So I'm really lucky that I didn't, but I do hear people talking about this a lot in that area. So one of my favorite quotes is a Will Smith quote that is, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, which I love. So I didn't do a very long prep. Some people prep for months and months and months.
Yeah.
So for me, I went right into keto after I got off of my prep, and I actually ended up losing a little bit more weight. But I really came back to listening to my body and having other goal setting. So I think sometimes people get so wrapped up in the one goal that then they feel like that's their whole identity. I set another goal and tried to just take time to enjoy the fact that I achieved this success.
Great.
We definitely don't spend enough time enjoying our successes in life.
Did you have like a so basically a post-show plan, like a...
No, I didn't even reverse diet.
Oh, you didn't?
No. I hear all this reverse dieting and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Because I don't spend 6 months bulking and cutting, because I'm typically losing body fat and gaining muscle at the same time, I just didn't have as long of a prep, so I didn't experience that issue. But there is a woman who I know in my area, her name's Tara Thatcher. She has a company called Perfectly Prepared, and she talks a lot about that, and she does some courses on that.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the question.
Can I get a big round of applause for Kristin Rowell, please?
Oh, thank you.